This is the official good morning. Good morning, and thank you for being here for the May edition of the Brooklyn Borough Service Cabinet meeting. I am Carol Ann Church. For those who don't know me, first time, I see a couple of first timers on here. I'm the Director of Community Boards, and on this call is my colleague, Bianca Stevenson, the Community Boards Coordinator. I just want to say by now that everyone should have received their roster of members. Some folks received a roster that may not have the appointed lines. Don't worry, it's coming. We just want to make sure that everything is final when we send it out. That's it really. May 22nd, I'll do a quick update. On May 22nd will be a public hearing on community boards guidance and interpretive language for the charter. We ask that you inform your members. I'm going to send out a notice, some social media assets that can be used in your newsletters. We'd also like the public to attend the hearing and comment on the proposals in that rule making. And with that, I will take the roll call. Just trying to wait a little bit to see who joined us. Community Board 1. Community Board 2. Community Board 3.
Present.
Community Board 4. Community Board 2.
Present, Miss Carol Ann. Sorry, I was muted. Good morning.
Community Board 5. Community Board 6. Community Board 7.
Yep.
Thank you, Jeremy. Community Board 8.
Present.
Community Board 9.
Present.
Community Board 10.
Present. Good morning.
Morning. Community Board 11.
Morning here.
Hi, Marnie. Community Board 12.
Present.
Hi, Barry. Community Board 13.
Present. Good morning.
Hi. Community Board 14. I know I saw Sean. Community Board 14. Community Board 15.
Good morning. Present.
Morning, Laura. Community Board 16. Community Board 17. Community Board 18.
Here.
Thank you. I saw Sean again.
She's back.
She's
Oh.
back.
Maybe she doesn't hear you.
Community Board 14.
I think she's resetting.
Her. I got her. Maybe her mic isn't working. Agencies, aging.
Good morning, present.
ACS. Brooklyn Public Library. Community Affairs Unit.
Present.
Thank you. Commission on Human Rights. CCRB.
Good morning, present.
Morning. CEC. Con Edison. DCWP. DCWP. DDC. DEP.
Present.
Thank you. DOB.
Present.
Thank you. DOC. DOE. Well, we know Department of Finance had to go, fire drill, DOHMH. DOT.
Present.
Thank you. Department of Parks.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, Davy.
Hey.
Department of Sanitation.
Morning, present.
Hi, Teresa. DSS.
Present.
Hey, Yuri. DYCD. EDC. FDNY. HPD. Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice. Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. National Grid.
Morning, present.
OTI. Emergency Management. NYPD. Oh. SBS. School Construction. Veterans Affairs. And that's it. So the minutes were sent out from the April 9th meeting. Are there any amendments to the minutes? Okay. Hearing none, we will proceed. Oversight and enforcement of illegal vending. Department responding is sanitation. I put this topic to the district managers whom this affects to lead. I'll start with CB13 DM Eddie Mark.
How's it going, guys? We, as you know, have a lot of illegal vendors in Coney Island and Brighton Beach. And one of our situation is the boardwalk. We know that DSNY has new rules and boundaries, and we're hoping that they can work with the PEP officers this coming season. Have you guys spoke about that internally?
So, to some degree, hi, Eddie. To some degree, there have been some conversations, but I guess it would be helpful to kind of discuss a little bit about our specific role when it comes to enforcement. And from my understanding, our role centers on enforcing the rules that govern street vending. And, we're more so approaching it from a compliance perspective. So we're looking like the major problems that we're looking at are the illegal disposal of garbage, the blocking of curbs, subway entrances, sidewalks, store entrances, etc. Vendors having oversized tables, vendors leaving items tied up overnight, vendor carts failing to visit commissaries, other safety issues like gas generators, gas cans, or the dumping of grease down sewers or in the garbage. So if we find those type of issues, then we approach the vendor to engage them in bringing up bringing their vending into compliance. With regard to the PEP officers, specifically, we will in we will enforce vending rules where we have enforcement authority under the Office of Street Vendor Enforcement. Right now, as I mentioned, the enforcement is for city streets and sidewalks. We haven't engaged any enforcement under Parks jurisdiction. Parks has their own rules that govern vending and concessions, but we can coordinate when needed with Parks. When the street and sidewalk enforcement also requires, that work is being done, or maybe in an adjacent park or something like that. So that's kind of where it sits right now. That if, coordination is needed, then, we can kind of go from there.
Cool. I know that Brighton Beach and Coney Island are vendor-free zones. The question there is, if that's the situation, would they just be all null and void vendors in the area? Because it's supposed to be a vendor-free zone, like from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So would that be enforceable?
I would have to get back to you on that. I am not positive, but I will find out.
Okay.
You said Memorial Day to Labor Day, right?
Yeah, or it might be even longer, because usually it's 6 months, so it might be from like April to October. But is it those, and it's not only in Coney Island and Brighton Beach. There are certain areas in Brooklyn and even Manhattan, with their vendor-free zones. And if that's the situation, then forget everything else that you had before. They don't need to be there, period. So if that's enforceable, you could just use that law and say there's no vendor period to be here, and they should just move along.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely look into that, and I'll circle back with you and let you know, what the I guess guidelines for that is.
You got it. Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Thanks, Teresa. Does anyone else have any questions for Teresa on oversight and enforcement of illegal vending?
I have my hand up.
I'm sorry, Henry, I can't see. Yes.
Yeah.
Take the floor.
All right, thank you. I didn't just want to jump in there. Let's talk about illegal vending, not vending people who already have their license, and then you guys go out there and tell them what they need to be doing right or what they're doing wrong. I'm talking about illegal vendors, those who don't have a license, don't have anything. Walk me through the enforcement process, because I don't know about everybody else, but I was so frustrated in dealing with when it was under Department of Consumer Worker Protection, who did absolutely nothing. You can't tell someone, hey, I got some information for you and you should become a legal vendor. So that was their policy. That's what they considered enforcement. Talk to me about someone using a grill, cooking meat on a grill by the train station, doesn't have a license at all, nothing. What's the steps for enforcement to make this person stop vending illegally on the street and also in a parking spot where meter parking is? I think DOT is on as well. What's the enforcement looks like? How do y'all stop this person from doing that? And I'm not talking about giving them some information. How do y'all literally stop the person from doing that?
Well, as I mentioned before, blocking of curbs, sidewalk entrances, subway entrances, sidewalks, etc., is a part of our, jurisdiction for enforcement. And from my understanding, we engage them in conversation, but they're also, if there are violations or if they're not legal, then things can be confiscated. I believe they have 2 days to get their stuff back for free. After that, then they would have to pay a fee in order to get, but the things can be seized, it can be removed to stop them from doing what it is that they're doing.
So you go out there, it's reported, Department of Sanitation shows up, I guess your enforcement unit, right? The person is
Yes.
not producing any documentation showing that they have the right to be there. What's the next step? Does something happen that moment, or is it, all right, we're giving you, don't come back, and if you do come back, then we're going to confiscate? What happens?
Hold on one second. Let me just double check about the warning. Hold on. All right, sorry. Just wanted to clarify. I didn't want to misspeak. But if they're permitted, we can issue a warning depending on what the obstruction is. If they are not permitted, then there's no warning. We confiscate immediately. And we do the enforcement right there and then. So if there's an issue, you report it, we show up, and stuff is shut down immediately.
Okay, no permit, you shut them down immediately. Okay,
Correct.
got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Henry, for asking that question. Laura?
Hi, good morning. Question, do you work weekends? Are they out on weekends? Most of our legal vendors use the weekends as an opportunity to be out. Also, how are your response times? If you come 3 days later, that condition doesn't exist anymore. It might not be there till the next weekend. And lastly, one more question is stores, not illegal vendors, but storefronts. I have an abusive fruit stand, which I think most of us have, a fruit store that takes up bus stops and curbs and is a nightmare. And they get $100 fine. It's the course of doing business, and they really don't care. So how is that handled? Thank you.
I believe the storefronts are different. I can find out more about that for you. But I don't believe they're the same as the on the sidewalk and streets. However, I do believe enforcement is taking place over the weekend as well. I'm not sure about the response times. I can circle back and find out for you about that, what the average, I guess, response time is.
Our frustration is I have a florist that pays a high rent, and he's got a guy selling flowers right on his corner outside. And now Mother's Day is coming up, and it's impeding his business, and it's terrible. It's not fair to the shop owners and the small businesses in the area.
What do you have a location for that?
East 15th and Kings Highway.
Okay, I'll definitely make note of that in Kings Highway.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Laura, and then Joanna. And sorry, not Laura, Joanna, and then Dale.
Hi, good morning. I'm Joanna Talenter from the Park Slope, Fifth Avenue Business Improvement District. Happy NYC Bid Day. I just wanted to say thank you for the 4 taco trucks you've been helping us with. I think there's some headway being made. But one thing I'm confused about, are the food trucks allowed to feed the meters all day?
I don't know. I think that's a little beyond our scope. I'm not sure about that. I want to say no, but that might be more an NYPD traffic question or DOT question. I don't think sanitation has purview over that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Thank you, Joanna. Dale, and then Taya.
Good morning. No, Henry Butler actually answered one of the questions I was going to ask. I took my hand down. Thank you.
Okay, Taya, and then Marnie.
Good morning, Teresa.
Hi.
Hi. Is Brooklyn Bridge in your purview?
The bridge itself in terms of enforcement?
Yeah.
That is a good question. Hold on one second. Let me double check. Again, this is very new. I'm also returning from vacation, guys, so just be patient with me. Hold on one second. Okay, just give us 2 seconds. Our Assistant Commissioner Bubemi is going to be joining the call, and he has a little more information than I do. So hopefully we
I
can
didn't mean to
address.
ask you a tough one.
No,
Sorry.
it's all good. It's all good. There's a lot of new jurisdictional situations, so I don't
Oh.
want to, misspeak. I want to make sure that you guys are getting the correct information.
Great.
So
That is why we
I
are here. Thank
want to, yes, I want to make sure that we're telling you the right thing. So just give him 2 minutes to log on, and he'll be joining us shortly.
Carol Ann, you could come back to me if you want.
Sure. Marnie?
Good, thank you. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for joining us and presenting. I just have a question, really on how you're going to operate and work with community boards. The Department of Sanitation historically has been a great partner. And I'm just wondering, you mentioned an Office of Street Vendor Enforcement. Will we have contact information or a liaison within that division? Or will all complaints go via 311?
As of right now, I think the complaints that we are fielding come through 311, but I don't believe that office is a sanitation office. But I will get clarity. I don't think that that office comes from us, but I will find out and get back to you in a few minutes.
So, yeah, so I'm just looking for the dynamic, right?
Mhm.
When it was with DCWP, I mean, of course, we document the issues via 311, but we always had a point of contact.
Yeah, there'll always be a point of contact, within sanitation in terms of if there's, any issues that
Yeah.
you are coming across, for sure. That part won't change. But is there, more specific
No,
people that can triage?
listen, historically, we've had, problematic areas.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. I'm just looking for general overview of how you're going to operate, not specifics.
Got you. Hold on 1 second. I think our assistant commissioner is joining us. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I can hear you all. Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay in joining you guys. So I think there's a question someone has about the Brooklyn Bridge. So if you can ask it again, I'll do my best to answer.
Oh, did Marnie, was your question answered?
No, not really.
Okay, please ask it again.
Yeah,
Maybe I can
no,
help.
I was just looking for a general overview of the vendor enforcement unit. Will we have a liaison? Is it done locally through our district garage? Does it go through community affairs? Those
Okay.
type of general questions.
Generally, that when it comes to enforcement, that has to come through our office, myself, and Ryan, Mr. Ryan Merola, and Jay is not on this call. We are, if you will, the lead, from the agency around enforcement issues, particularly this new enforcement stuff we're doing now. Enforcement in this instance will be done primarily by the sanitation police, not your local district, enforcement officers. So that's the reason why, it's coming, through our own end as opposed to, if you will, at the local level.
Thank you.
Does that answer the question? I hope.
Yes. So,
Okay.
I guess one of the challenges is we all have a great need for enforcement of unlicensed vendors and bad actors.
Yes,
So the procedure, I guess I'm looking for standard operating procedure. You want these locations put into 311. And
Okay.
I guess I'm just looking for a point of contact for follow-up.
Okay. So if I may, you just kind of said it. We are complaint driven. Hi, Ray. It's good to see you. We are mostly, complaint driven, and 311 is the focal point where all the complaint goes into. Now, let's assume, for example, there's a specific area of concern for you or for whomever on this call that you think is egregious, as an example. So you call the 311 and you do your complaint. You are more than free to reach out to me with that the service request for the 311 that you've just done. I mean, Teresa will put my email in the chat for all of you to see. You can reach out to myself, in terms of that 311 call that you've made with the SR information. I can actually have it pulled to understand what's really going on. And from that point of view, we can then have our enforcement officers take a look at it to go for an inspection purpose. Full disclosure, and I must say this to all of you because I think it's important that I say this to everybody on this call. What we found so far, to be quite honest, we've done some good enforcement in Brooklyn, on the bridge, for example, and in Dumbo and Embrons. We have found that a lot of the people that folks call about to complain about actually are permitted and licensed. Not all of them, I say a lot of them. Now, those of them who are not permitted or licensed to be there, the officers know what to do. Once they inspect you, you're not permitted, nor are you licensed to be there. There's only one option. They will take your property away from you, and that's what happens usually. And that's what we've been doing. And so far, we've had very little resistance. We've got a lot of support from the community, folks like you, in those kind of instances. Those of them who are permitted, who may, break the rules at times, our officers have the discretion to either give them a warning and a citation or a violation, depending again on how egregious the issue is that they observe or that they see.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Melinda?
Good morning, everyone. And hello, Teresa. We thank you so much for always being a great support for CB5. Quick question. I know we're really focused on making sure our communities stay safe and clean by removing any illegal activity, including vendorship. But I would like to also know, do we have hard numbers or stats on how many of these vendors were actually removed based on illegal vending, not having permits? Because we want to also be able to use that information to help support those who can be responsible if given the right tools to become legal vendors and maneuver through that process for their licenses. So do you have stats?
So there are some numbers which I don't want to give you wrong information. There are some numbers based on our interaction with those that we've encountered, those that are illegal vendors, particularly. Let me go back and take a second look at the numbers before I share it. I don't want to kind of speak out of turn here, but there are numbers. There are some folks we've actually, we've inspected and taken enforcement action against. Even this morning, I was on a call again, because every day the officers are out there, depending again on where the issues are. And I think the more complaints we get, the better it is for us to be able to respond quickly. So let me go back and take a look at what numbers we have, and I have no issue sharing that with you. Don't forget, it's a big city.
Yeah.
As much as we want to do everything,
I
there
guess
are a lot
if
of
we
stuff
can,
going on.
if there's a way, because it is, you're absolutely correct. If there's a way, not to be biased, but if there's a way we can do it for our borough first.
Well,
and
let
then
me just say, look, I live in Brooklyn, so I can say this.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
trying to be all biased here, but I do live in Brooklyn, and clearly we want things to happen as well in Brooklyn, and the officers are out there every day, almost 7 days a week working, depending again on where people have to actually let us know where the problems are so that we can engage, because we're not doing enforcement just for enforcement's sake. We're not patrolling looking for, if you will, illegal vendors. Really, we're not doing that. If you tell us there's an area in Brooklyn, for example, that has major problems, Ray's been working on something, I won't go into it, Ray. That's major, that there's a lot of effort now around that because it was raised by that community, right? To the extent that everybody now is kind of like, okay, we focus on this now. And our men were out there actually last week, to do some initial kind of groundwork. And very soon there'll be some serious actions taking place in that particular area. I won't mention it because I don't want to, play our hands yet. So things are going on, but the complaints is very important. The more of that we get, the more we can narrow. So I'll try and get the numbers if if I can share it, I will. And if I can't, I won't. I'm just playing.
Okay.
But we're on top of it.
Thank
Please know that we are working every single day to make sure that we get them off the street, because there's quite a number of them. More so those of them who do food selling, or those who sell food. That's very key for us as well, because people may kind of think it's a joke, but people fall sick because food is being handled in a very wrong way, and I don't think we want that. So we've taken a couple of trucks off the road already, taco trucks and others that we've actually impounded, and that will continue.
In your area, Melinda, you may have seen the vendors on Pennsylvania that
Pennsylvania Flatlands, yeah.
not there anymore.
Yes.
They're gone. They are gone. And there's a reason why they are gone, because
I've heard that they've resurfaced,
Where?
but I don't think it's a permanent thing. They're trying to go back into the area closer to Gateway. So I'll keep you informed on that. Yeah.
Please let us know. Please
Will
let
do.
us know, because we did some work out there and we took quite a few stuff, and just let Teresa know, and then we'll move from there. Just keep us in the loop.
I'll reach out, because possibly
see
we can
them.
hold some sort of town hall just to educate more folks on, one, how to report it effectively, and understand, what resources are out there on both sides. Thank you so much.
Melinda. Thank you very much. Any other pending question before I drop off, because I know Teresa has to continue and I have to.
There are
Yes.
lots of questions, Commissioner.
Okay, I'll wait. Sorry.
So
I'm
I'd
with you.
like to go back to Taya. Taya's question is, what got you here?
Sorry about that. Thank you.
No, it's okay, Taya.
Quick question. So, Brooklyn Bridge. Imagine there are new vendors this summer. They're wildly popular. It's very cute. For the most part, it's very modest fruit stands. I ate some fruit. I didn't get sick. But there are these new ones.
Thank God.
There are these new vendors that I saw 6 of them between Manhattan and Brooklyn on Sunday, and they completely stopped the traffic because they're about 3 foot wide, round, rotating platforms with the selfie stick and the music. So basically, you pay the vendor, you can get this cute 360 video of you on the bridge, right? I actually think it probably, if they're licensed, no problem. I think it probably works fine on the towers where it's a bit wider. But the problem is that I think there were 6 of them, and on the narrows in between the towers, it just completely stops traffic, because if someone's on that platform rotating and the stick's going around, right, you can't get by it. Just wanted to elevate that.
Okay. I can see the Brooklyn Bridge from my office, so I know no, really, I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but it's true. I can actually. So I know the officers are on the bridge. I think they've been there since maybe around 9:45 or so this morning. They're kind of doing their usual routine. So I will try and reach out. Hopefully I can get somebody to kind of pay attention to what you've just said and take a look. I know they were out there yesterday, and I know they're out there again today. So to the extent that they can, I'm a bit hesitant to talk about what you've just described, because to the extent that they are vendors, and I want us to be a bit mindful with that, right? What are they really selling? That's really the question, isn't it? I don't want to get all legalistic here about it, and that's a question that I think we still need to kind of figure out. There are some people that are protected, when it comes to, be it arts or whatnot, that they engage in, even on that bridge, but they do not have the right to block pedestrian traffic. That they don't have that right. So our officers will engage them, because you don't have the right to, to block pedestrian traffic. And if you're doing that, then they will engage with you, and if need be, tell you to move. And if you refuse to move, by the way, these are policemen. They do carry guns. They're not going to shoot anybody. They're not doing that, but they will insist that you move. If what you're doing is creating serious problems for people on that bridge, then you have to move. And usually people comply when they tell them to do so. So I don't foresee it being an issue, but I'll bring it up to them. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Thank you, Taya. Next up, Celeste, followed by Sean.
Good morning, everyone. Celeste representing CB4 in Bushwick. I just had a few questions, and I feel like some of this information has already been discussed, but I just want to make sure that it's clear. This is speaking to the process for responding to complaints. So after 311 is called, what does that time frame look like? What is the time frame for the results to be shared with the individual calling 311? And then related to that, on more of the CB end, if there is a particular location where we're indicating that an interagency inspection is needed, potentially with sanitation, Department of Health, what does that process look like? Should I still be calling 311 and following up with community affairs? Just want to get clarification.
Okay, so let me limit myself to maybe one or two areas that you just touched upon. In the 311 calls, when it has to do, for instance, with street vending especially, I think it's always good to be very specific as to what it is with 311 so that it can be routed to the right agency, because at times the NYPD does some enforcement too, right? And there are folks who still look at this CWP as still one of those agencies, and there's the DOH as well that does play a role here. But our job is, of course, just to do the enforcement part of it from the DSNY perspective. Now, when a person calls 311 to make a complaint about a potential illegal vending activity in their community or on their street or wherever, please indicate clearly as much as you can the time of day, the kind of activity happening, right? Whether it's a vendor issue, the more you talk about vendor enforcement, there's a good chance that it will come our way, to be quite honest with you. And since you guys represent the community boards, may I suggest, and I think Teresa would share my information with you, any of such calls, once you make 311 complaints, you can always send myself or Ms. Cunningham on this call the 311 service request, so that way we can take a look at it and quickly action it. It may take a few days for us to do it because we have to now deploy men, right? So it takes time to plan these things out. Should there be a need for our men to go out there and do a quick inspection of the area, they would do so, right? Now for the interagency part of it and the 311, how long it takes them to do stuff is something I really can't really speak to right now, because it's not my area, to be quite honest. But to the extent that we can help to expedite things from our own end, by us getting that information from you, then we'll do so. I will try to respond as quickly as possible. Please note, we have very limited manpower, to be quite honest. So, but we'll do our best, of course, to respond as quickly as possible. We are trying to bring on some additional sanitation policemen into this, as well. So it's an ongoing process for us to continue to kind of build up our bandwidth. So, but we'll respond as quickly. Usually we try to do things within a week, but don't hold me to that. We try to move very quickly. Once we know what it is, we try to go just as quickly as possible. Every single day we do meetings on this issue. Every morning we are on a call, and I get briefings on it every day. So, and I can tell the mail, by the way, Chief, hey, this area is of concern. Can you please take a look at it? And usually they do.
Thank you. And just a few follow-up questions. When you say every day, just want to be clear that that includes the weekends. Are folks out there inspecting on weekends as well?
Yes. Oh, yes, they are. On Saturdays, for instance, I know this Saturday they were out doing some stuff in some areas in Brooklyn and up in the Bronx as well. So I'm aware of that. Yeah.
And what happens to the property that's confiscated?
Okay, good question. So again, it depends on what it is. As you know, it's mostly civil penalties that we actually enforce, right? So let's assume that we take your truck, right? So impound your truck. You do have the right to come back and and get your truck, from us, but you have to pay for it. It's not free. So for the mobile food vending operators who are illegally vending, I think the fee is like $1,000. So once they take your vehicle and it's impounded, it's like $1,000 for you to be able to get it back. So there's a good chance that folks won't even bother, and there are those who come and they pay the money and they get their property back. If they go back again on the street, we see them again, we do the same thing to them. And it's just, unfortunately, our role is very limited in terms of that. We can take, you pay your fees to the city, whatever the fees may be that is adjudged, and you can get your stuff back.
And my final question is regarding any report requirements. Now that this is under sanitation's purview, has there been any instruction on whether or not the agency will have to prepare a report detailing enforcement data for a period of time, or no?
Is a question I need to ask. I'm not so sure the parameters of that, so I can now just find out. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste, Sean, and then Angie.
You will
Thank you.
forgive me. I'm sorry, Angie, before you speak. You forgive me. I have to get on the call at 11 o'clock, so I'll give it maybe 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to have to jump off, if you don't mind. And I can always come back if you guys are still carrying on to engage. But I got to get on the call at 11 o'clock.
Thanks a lot. I'll speak really quickly then. I just want to be clear on,
Sure.
because you mentioned a lot of the enforcement efforts have yielded that the vendors do have licenses, but that isn't really the only problem. Are you still enforcing zero visibility streets? Are you still enforcing vendor restricted streets? And then all of the minutia about, how many feet away from a catch basin, a store door, a corner, and all of that. And then if I can just quickly add is, has sanitation moved DVO under the enforcement office? No. Okay.
I
Then
don't
the
know.
first,
I
then I'll stick to the
think
first
so.
question.
DVO is still there. They still do what they do normally, but it's not really under the enforcement
Okay.
in the space. Now to your question. Hi, Sean. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you.
We are enforcing those areas that you just mentioned, especially, the old so many feet away, you have to be from the stoop line, those kind of stuff. It's an ongoing thing. That never stopped. That continued. As you know, we have enforcement agents as well as the men and women that are officers. So those men continue to do that kind of enforcement, while the police focuses its attention and energy primarily on what I would call the mobile food folks and and actually those street vendors, if you will. Where there's a need, they can actually do the same thing that you just mentioned. So yes, so it's all encompassing.
Okay. I feel very fortunate that we have Lieutenant Frank Vega, who reaches out to us pretty on a regular basis so we'll communicate these issues through him.
Yes,
And then just a real quick plug for keeping fire extinguishers on garbage trucks. I know they come that way and the department takes them off, but given the lithium battery fires lately and then other fire holidays in my community, just wanted to throw that in. Thanks for hearing it.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Angie, followed by Tony. Angie?
I think her hand is still up. Maybe
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm just following up on some comments that others have made. Commissioner, I kind of honed in on a phrase that you said earlier in answering someone licensed to be there. So I just want to, I guess my question is, can vendors simply choose where they want to park when they are licensed? Or is there any direction given by the issuing agency? And I ask this as a director of a bid. There's a concern and conversation about someone mentioned earlier, a flower stand being parked in proximity to a flower business. So that's our concern.
Hi, Ms. Brown, how are you? So let me quickly answer that question because it came up again this morning. There was a question that was asked of me a week or so ago at the meeting I attended in Manhattan about a specific location. And this DCWP actually continues to have the authority to license everybody, right? We don't. So to the extent that they give them licenses and permit, of course, there are some set aside for veterans and the like. I am not so sure in terms, this is my view now, so please, I'm very careful if I speak out of turn. I'm not so sure in terms of location. To the extent that the person has a general vending permit or license, as they call it, he or she can pretty much operate, like across the city, in some areas without, of course, causing problems or, creating issues that you raise to, emergencies or whatnot. But what I can do, Angie, is this. I can actually go back with this question again because something I've been trying to understand. DCWP has a role to play here, so I don't want to kind of jump all over them. Let me get some clarification on that because there's been quite a number of back and forth. I don't know if Ray has anything that is aware of in terms of this, but from my own recollection, I am not so sure that they're it's only where posted, right? You cannot vend in certain areas if it's so posted. But besides that, if you're even allowed to be on the Brooklyn Bridge, for as an example, nothing we can do about that. As you can tell, there are men and women on Brooklyn Bridge who are permitted to be there, and these are veterans and whatnot, and they have a particular kind of license that they are issued that allows them to be there. Now, can they come into your street, for instance? If you have a street fair as an example in your bid, there is a whole process for that, and the folks will come, do what they need to do on a temporary license basis, and then they move on after that. It can't be like a permanent spot. I know there are folks who think they have a permanent spot somewhere and they kind of, they come there regularly. I can say this about Brooklyn. In Park Slope on Fifth Avenue, we impounded a taco truck that's been parked there for God knows how long, doing business. And the complaint came in, and our men went out there. Of course, the man felt he has a right to be at that particular space. And we tell you, no, you don't have that right because one, you're not even licensed to be vending to begin with. So the vehicle was impounded. So to the extent that you have such a situation, let us know. We'll come, take a look at it, and then we'll let you know. Ray, anything? Am I on track so far? Thank you, Ray.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Anyone? Okay, good. So I just have two questions, and I thank you for having this opportunity. Your sanitation enforcement unit, do they service the borough of Brooklyn or they do two boroughs?
I believe we have, except Teresa can jump in, I believe they are assigned to boroughs, right? Teresa, is it citywide? I think
Yes.
it's borough space, yes.
And enforcement is if you're talking about illegal vending specifically, that's our sanitation police. So
Yes,
although
that's
they
correct.
enforce, it's a different, it's a different unit.
Right. So my concern is, what are your current numbers for sanitation police or enforcement to deploy for the vending issue? And I think you do guys, I think Brooklyn enforcement officers do share Staten Island as well, if I'm not mistaken. So can you provide the numbers of officers you have available at this point in time? And are these same officers also deployed to handle other violations of someone previously issued catch basings and illegal dumping and so on and confiscation of vehicles? Can you please just elaborate on it a little bit so we can get an understanding as with the turnaround and as far as what do we exactly, I understand the timeline, I understand the process, but I just want to get a feel as to whether we're being realistic and other things that are being, other services that sanitation enforcement are doing.
So, Mr. Sanders, to your question about the bandwidth, which I mentioned earlier, like I said, I think we have maybe 40 right now officers, policemen, and I know they're ramping it up because there's a whole, trying to get more guys on, into the field. And as time goes on, I'm sure we're going to add on more, which we're already working on, like I said earlier. And there are more officers being trained as well as we speak. Even as of this morning, I know there's a batch about to come out to again work with us, on this vendor enforcement issue. So to that extent, I only share that with this team for now. It doesn't mean we can't bring other people in, but that's kind of like where we are right now. So our bandwidth is really limited, to be quite frank. I cannot mislead anybody on this call, but that does not mean we don't respond. It's citywide. So like I said, it's a big city. So we do our best to go where the complaints, with all due respect, is the loudest. I just have to kind of say it. I mentioned Ray earlier. I won't go into specifics. There's this particular issue that Ray and others have been dealing with, and Ray ensures that we, hear what is coming from the community side of the house. So once I hear it and Ryan hears it, guess what happens? There will be some action, right? And the men and women will then be deployed to where we believe are the trouble spots that we have in the city. So to the extent that you can continue to please, if there's an issue, and also just reach out, and we'll do our best, to respond as quickly as we can. We limited bandwidth though we have, but we'll do our best to respond.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jeremy, did you want to comment?
No, but I always will. So Bubemi, it's great to see you. I have not seen you in at least 25 years when we both worked in city council.
Lord have mercy. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't kind of mean to yell.
I didn't have all this white hair at the time.
Well, we all
Completely
see
unrecognizable.
you, man.
Good to see you.
No more hair comments.
I'm telling you. Sorry.
Our issues have been the same for 25 years, administration to administration, agency to agency. I'd love to do a walkthrough at some point.
Sure.
We have a bid that just is completely inundated with vending, legal and illegal, food trucks. And then we have lots and lots of stores that are giving 3 feet of curb space on a 20-foot curb.
Yeah.
So I would love to do a walkthrough at some point rather than complain in another meeting.
Let me know. We can work something out.
Excellent.
We've done quite a number of walkthroughs, so I don't think we are averse to that, of course. And it's you, so I'm just playing. Oh wow!
Thanks very much.
It's a blast from the past.
Wow.
Sorry, guys. It's just wow.
So the assistant commissioner only has 4 more minutes. So for the remaining people with questions, please make it quickly. Andre.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is a really quick question. In regards to the enforcement units, you said that were in the academy and about to exit out now and start the job. Are you guys still hiring as far as is that a hiring process still ongoing? And are you guys hiring for veterans in that process, or like mainly looking for like veterans who are looking for work?
Let me clarify what I just said. I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't clear. There is a training program going on right now with sanitation police officers vis-a-vis vending and vending rules and regulations, right? Because it's not as if it's something that is kind of new to us. In terms of hiring, I will be able to speak to that, as you can imagine, because it's not really my area. So I'd rather not get into that because it's not something that I can really speak to. I do know that I think, because I know we did a graduation, what was it, a couple months ago. I'm not so sure when the next class will be coming out, so I can't speak to that. But I do know that we are trying to build out, our manpower within what we have. As you know, we have enforcement officers within the, within our agency right now. To the extent that there's a way we can do some stuff with them, I'm sure the commissioner and others will figure that out. And I'll chime in. I need to chime in. But right now, I would just say we are using what we have and trying to be creative around, trying to build out the bandwidth within the agency.
I also just wanted, as a point of clarity, for our sanitation police, which again, our police officers are the ones that specifically are handling illegal vending. Those, we do not just hire those. Those actually are trained from sanitation workers. So they kind of move from sanitation workers to become sanitation police officers. Whereas our enforcement team and those that are assigned to our enforcement division are what we refer to as civilians. So those can just be hired. So like if they happen to be vets, we do have a lot of sanitation workers that are veterans.
Yep.
But it's a totally separate hiring process between one and the other. So with the sanitation workers, of course, they have to take the exam and they go through that process with the list that, DCAS establishes, et cetera, versus the enforcement, enforcement is, something that it's a totally separate test. It's not as, I want to say long of a process as sanitation workers. So just as a note of clarity, it's 2 different ways to be hired.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. I have one last question. Wait, I have one last question.
Yes.
Hi, this is Eddie Mark from CB13 down in Coney Island.
Hi, Eddie. How are you?
Okay. We're doing a follow-up meeting tomorrow of an interagency on illegal vendors. I know Joan is going to be there to help us out with sanitation enforcement issues, but we're trying to nip this in the butt before Memorial Day weekend. Do you know if it's possible to get this up and going before Memorial Day weekend? Because once they get the know and the action that they what do you call it, Coney Island, Brighton Beach is a no vendor zone, then they know for the rest of the summer not to come down here.
Okay, let me quickly say this, Eddie. Earlier I was referencing break, quite a few times. I keep doing that for a reason without betraying why. Now you've asked a question, and I will still not betray too much, but I'll say this much to you. There's actually been some movement around your concerns that you've raised in that particular area.
Sure.
Funny enough, the chief just walked past me now, who actually had our enforcement sanitation officers. And I know they already went out there to do some initial, like groundwork.
Yes.
As you know, there are issues of multi-agency. So that's actually already happening. We're in a very good place in terms of that. So I suspect, and I do believe that very soon, sooner than there will be, some activities. While we don't have direct authority over the boardwalk, as you know, however, we are clearly working with our sister agencies to come up with an idea and strategy that we can utilize, right?
Sure.
Ensure that folks who are there illegally, because it's important that we not, with respect, vending is allowed. It's just a matter of, you have to have the proper authority to be there, right? And if you
the
don't
majority,
have that,
the majority of them are illegal.
okay, no, be that as it may, sir. I'm just saying that, that to the extent that, because I've seen the pictures, trust me, and it's horrible. and I've spoken to Cohen, and I know exactly where folks sit on this, and we are very much interested and invested in ensuring that we nip this in the bud as quickly as possible. So I believe you're going to see some movement very, very, very soon, because we know how things can get if you don't, So there'll be that, and there'll be some persistent. I can say this: there will be definitely a persistent attention paid to that area. That I can guarantee you. Okay, from all the three agencies involved.
Great. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Assistant Commissioner, thank you so much for coming on at such short notice and helping us out here this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, when my boss, Teresa, calls me, I got to jump. So, I was called and I had to jump in. But anyway, nice to see everybody. Sean, it's always good to see you. And Jeremy, it's good to see you again, my man. I'm sorry, guys. Have a good one. Andre, bye-bye.
Glad I could play a part in the reunion there. Are there any more questions regarding illegal vending? None. Okay. So, Teresa, you still up? Commercial waste changes. In attendance joining us today are representatives from various bids throughout Brooklyn who also have an interest in this topic. But I will first start with the DMs. I'll let the DMs take the first question, and then we can go back and forth between the DMs and the bid managers. So, DMs. Was it Josephine that asked this first? No.
No, but of course we do have questions on just pretty much, just a review of what the commercial, changes are, how they will impact our local strips. We have 2 commercial bids within the district. Of course, this comes on the heels of the time set out changes. So I appreciate your attendance today.
No worries. And so that's actually a point of clarity that I wanted to. I don't know what you guys mean when you are referring to the commercial waste changes. Are we talking about set out times or are we talking about something else? I actually didn't even know. I've been on vacation, so when I saw the agenda, I wasn't aware that we were going to be talking about this. So I just, as a note of clarity for me, so I could try to best answer your question. What do we mean by that? Do we want to discuss the set out times and how that's affecting businesses, or is there something else that you guys are looking for clarity for?
Well, I would start with the set out times have impacted or certainly are an area of concern for our bids. Because we have many non-food industries that close early and currently set their refuse out for their private carters in a certain way, and that seems to have changed. One, in the fact that they typically put their refuse out maybe once or twice a week towards the building line and not at the curb. There was some confusion about the new rules indicating the curb versus the where they had traditionally stored their refuse. And, not having food waste as part of their refuse, they are concerned about, also putting out bins, which currently are, some don't have space for bins, others, are concerned that bins will remain out on the sidewalk for long periods of time. So I just thought maybe you could maybe speak to that a little bit, and maybe we could start there.
Okay, sure. So, as of right now, in terms of the changes from where the garbage is serviced, the only, from my understanding, is it's a blanket policy, right? So this is for residential, for commercial spaces, everyone is adhering to the new time. So that is the 6 p.m. For residential, if it's going to be in a container. For containerized refuse for commercial establishments, it's 1 hour before closing. If it's not in a container, so they have to use bags before whatever reason, then it's the after 8 p.m. And that is both for residential and for commercial. With regard to where they're actually placing it, unless you're in a loading dock, then yes, from my understanding, it is supposed to be curbside. If there's a specific arrangement that has been made ahead of time with the commercial carter that is servicing the location and they're instead servicing it at the building line, then that may be something that we could discuss on a case-by-case basis. But from my understanding, the usual procedure is that unless it's in a loading dock where they're removing the refuse, which they don't even have the time restrictions if it's from a loading dock, but if it's generally serviced curbside, then that's where the garbage is placed. And then in terms of like the building line, for storage purposes, if they wanted to use a bin, from my understanding, they're able to, as long as it's not beyond that 3 feet, they can keep the containers stored there, should they want to take advantage of the earlier time to be closer to when they close as opposed to waiting for the 8 p.m. But as it stands right now, that's kind of what it is for everyone.
Yeah, Teresa, in our district, there's always been a distinction between commercial waste and private property, waste, so that Department of Sanitation can distinguish what is commercial versus, and the way that's been done here for the majority of my businesses has been that distinction and not putting it at the curb
And not
line.
putting at the curb. Okay.
Yeah. And many of the private carters are on a schedule so that the refuse that's not food waste is not out very long. So I don't know if sanitation, I guess as we proceed with the rule change, we'll see some of the impacts. And there are some both residential businesses as well as commercial businesses that store in areaways, not in containers. So many of the larger buildings do have lots of bags that are just being stored in areaways, and not in containers, who are having issues with changing the hours of their supers to accommodate the new time, because they just could not feasibly put the amount of bags they have in containers. That's another issue that we're trying to get through, and our businesses are working on. So I appreciate your being here today to help.
No problem. I definitely made a note of the distinction, so I will circle back with that just to see if there's any additional clarity for your area specifically, if they've made any type of accommodations or they're aware that this has been a longstanding procedure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. Anyone else has a question on this topic?
I have a question on another sanitation topic, but I'll wait.
Okay. Any of the big managers? Tony, is your hand up from the previous time or is it up now from previous time? Okay. Thank you. Joanna, same?
Yeah, hi, it's more of a comment really. We're just finding in Park Slope that our baskets on the corners are just overflowing every day since the new set out time. So our sanitation crew are having to double back and keep bagging up the trash, and it's actually taking away time from graffiti removal and sweeping. So people are dumping now. Unfortunately, that's the unintended consequence.
We're seeing that in board
interesting. Okay, that's a good observation. I didn't. I can definitely make a note of that. Do you have any, I guess, specific intersections where it's worse, or you're seeing it more versus other places, or just in general?
It's more in general, but definitely there's a certain few blocks, and it's really the blocks where they have more co-ops, I think, on the side streets. So they have, probably can't afford it. I live in a co-op, can't afford to have someone come later in the day to put the trash out.
Got it.
Thank you. Sean, did you have a question?
Just to comment on that, I mean, I thought we did ask whether sanitation was going to be tracking weights on basket trucks to compare the before and after the new set out time policy, because it's an unintended consequence that we anticipated. I love pulling baskets off corners because they tend to stay cleaner without the baskets. But I hope that sanitation is tracking basket truck weights so that we can do this analysis, some months into this new set out time policy. Do you know, Teresa, if that's being tracked?
I haven't heard that it is, but that doesn't mean that it isn't. But I definitely will circle back to highlight that that's something that that you guys are interested in seeing a comparison of.
Groovy, thank you.
Okay, back to Henry.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, mine is about the alternate side parking reduction. As you know, most community boards, they have several districts. We have 5 districts within 5 sanitation districts. When it comes to alternate side reduction, if one district, say, has the scores of 90% cleanliness, but the other ones don't, does that one district qualify for alternate side reduction, or does it have to be the whole community board have to meet those specific scores in order to qualify?
Potentially, it could be just the district, but by district you mean like the segments, so like sections. You mean sections?
Right, sections, because we have
Okay,
like 31 through 35 are our 5 sections. So 31 is consistently have getting 95% cleanliness, but 34, is getting 60%. So that obviously bringing down the overall score. Does section 31 qualify for reduced alternate side parking within the community board?
It's possible. But I think it also has to do with the way that the route itself is set up and how the ASP segments are. But it's definitely something that we can explore, but they need to have those that like 95% cleanliness or the ratings over a period of time, not just
right. What's that period? Was it 2 quarters in a row, 3 quarters? What was, I don't remember.
I want to say it's 3, but I could circle back for you. There's also been, I mean, as of right now, there was, changes made to the way that the scorecard ratings were done. And so that's also been a caveat to how the determination is being made. But we can definitely circle back offline. If there's a specific area of interest, then we could kind of explore that. I mean, either way, our cleaning office has to, vet the location, but it is possible for it to be a section is really.
When they do the scores, is it done by the sections? When they do the cleaning the scores, do they break it down by sections?
I don't think it's done by the sections because we're not the ones that rate it. So I don't think it goes by sanitation section. But they may be able to still isolate a particular area, but I can find out for you.
Okay, okay, cool. Last one, that graffiti program, that's still not funded. That doesn't exist anymore. Y'all come and clean up the graffitis on, buildings and stuff.
So the graffiti free NYC is still happening. We've actually taken over a portion of the the administrative, like EDC was doing it, now sanitation. So it is still happening. If there's a location, we do need the waiver and we can, get it cleaned and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Sue-Ann?
Yeah, hi. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have one portion of the district that has alternate side of the street parking, but cars don't move and they're not being ticketed. So whose responsibility is that actually, they call here and complain to us. I send it out to both sanitation and NYPD. And it takes a while till those cars get moved or are moved, and they just remain there and the sweepers can't get down to do their job.
So it is both. We have jurisdiction in terms of being able to summons them for not moving. NYPD traffic also can summons them for not moving. But if there are locations, please, feel free to let me know and I can try to follow up on them.
I want to know, is it the obligation of the sweeper to do that, or do we have to wait for the people that live there to call us? Because if they can't get down and sweep a full street because they have to go around cars, shouldn't they be calling this in? Would it be their responsibility to do that? Finding time and time again that these cars just aren't moving?
I mean, I do think that it's something that they report, whether or not they were able to go down the street, but I don't know how well frequency is tracked. So I can follow up on that in terms of like if this is happening again and again and again.
Right.
But I do know that if there are locations that are more problematic than others, then we request ahead of time for a supervisor to accompany the sweeper so that they are able to issue summonses on the spot. So if there is, a problematic corridor, it is helpful to, kind of know that in advance because we can request for that to happen on the ASP day. So say, for a 2-week segment, just as an example, proactively, we would have the supervisor in, following the broom or going ahead in advance of the broom during the ASP time so that they can issue summonses for non-compliance.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sue-Ann, for that. I don't see any other raised hands on this topic. Teresa, thank you so very much for your time. I know this is a rough start to your return from vacation. So we really do appreciate your readiness. And with that, we can move into our third topic. Is Kibiria here? I might be really mutilating your name, but is there the representative from DCWP? If you will please tell me your name. And are you on the line? Hello? Okay, I'm guessing DCWP is not here, so we won't be able to discuss that topic.
Not surprised.
They confirmed.
I stand by my comment. Not surprised.
Well, then you know what? I guess we reclaim some time because it's already 11:18. So let's move into DM and agency updates.
Carol Ann, this is Melinda. How are you? May I just ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a way that well, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead to the DMs. No worries.
Hey, you're a DM. Do you have an update?
Yeah, I wanted to be able to state, I know DCWP is not here, but how can we amplify the need to have
this major issue addressed, because it's really more than just them being an agenda item. We need some real focused attention on this, because it's ridiculous. And it's such a slap in the face. It's a disrespect to our communities. It's absolutely a disrespect to our children, the schools that they're opening up in front of. I mean, it's horrible. It's just horrible. It sends the worst message out. It has nothing to do with the quote unquote legalization of marijuana or anything that's beneficial in any way for anyone. And it's just a disrespect. It really is taking advantage of commercial spaces that could be utilized for something so much greater for our communities. And CB5 is just being overwhelmed, as I'm sure so many other districts in Brooklyn are. I know Sean can attest to a couple of spaces in her district as well, because I've heard some things about 14 and also 17. Well, I'm sure all 18 have something to say about it, but it's just really horrible. And I just wanted to highlight it, and then I'll close my mouth, because I see DCW just didn't want the Brooklyn smoke, so to speak. But thank you all.
Thank you for that, Melinda. I think you're right. All 18 probably have something to say on smoke shops. Is Anastasia on here? Anastasia, maybe you can help us get DCWP back out to speak on this topic at a later meeting.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you. Sean.
Thank you. I'm actually, it's so funny because I just got an email, my board chair just emailed a resolution that we passed at our last board meeting so that we can add it as an addendum to our minutes. So have it open on my screen right now. And I'm wondering if there can be a repository, maybe Anastasia, I don't want to volunteer at CAU, but it does seem to make sense that if everybody who's passed a resolution on smoke shops, can provide it to a single place, so it can be presented to the mayor's office and to the agency. I don't feel like they have a lack of interest or a lack of trying, despite their absence here today. They're overwhelmed and under-resourced and they've called out to us for help, and I think to the mayor CAU office and to the sheriff's office. It's an ill-equipped agency and a terrible policy in terms of enforcement. But there's got to be some place to funnel our concerns about it so it goes somewhere other just into the DM complaint abyss. So can we talk about thinking through something so that it's action instead of just words?
Sean, I 100% agree with you on that. The only hiccup that we have on that is that it's all coming from the state, and everybody's waiting, I believe, on legislature.
No, but maybe that's for the cannabis stuff. But even with the cigarettes and the vape sales and the sales to minors and the continuation of the flavors, marketing to minors, and then those just being a real easy, cozy home for unpermitted cannabis products. I get that there's a lot to wait on the state, and it's going to be like waiting for Godot. I mean, that the state is even more woeful than DCWP, but there's stuff that can be happening at the city level that maybe will
That's why, my concern
that maybe
is,
would even guide the state's thinking at some point.
my concern, the only concern is that DCWP might not be the ones to reach out to. So let me touch base, let me ask around, and I do feel in need of for a meeting and discussion. Okay, let me work on this. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Anyone else? Any updates, comments?
Celeste has one, and I'll come after her.
Thanks, Eddie. Just a quick announcement. We are very excited to host our annual Shape Up Bushwick event in Irving Square Park in our district. We usually have all our agency and community partners come out to join us. We're hoping for beautiful weather. Last year's event was great. I made some new friends, some kids that live in the district. We played volleyball together. It's a lot of fun. So it's just the day for the community to come out. If folks have suggestions on other people that could be there that have come to events that you've had, I'm happy to include them. Also some future of community boards updates. If anyone on here, any district managers are interested in a focus group for community board marketing, let me know. Also, district needs, specifically providing feedback on the platform that we use to submit the budget requests and the narrative around those requests. There'll probably be another group for that. I will continue to send the same updates. And if it's helpful, I'm also happy to compile or ask all the district managers for their resolutions on smoke shops citywide, if that works.
Cool. That sounds good.
Celeste, what's the date? I'm sorry, Eddie.
That's good.
Celeste, what's the date for Shape Up Bushwick?
Thursday, June 8th. Yeah.
Thank you. What time?
11 to 2. I'll send the flyers out to everyone. We just finalized the flyers. So I'll send it out to all agency partners and all elected officials and reps.
Thank you. Eddie?
Cool. Hi. I just want to make an announcement that CB13 has passed a resolution about the casino in Coney Island. As you all got a letter from us, basically we were not happy with what they presented, and the community spoke out, and we basically said no at this time. If they want to resolve the problem with parking, crime, the boardwalk, whatever they want to please us, we would like to see it in writing, because right now they have not shown us anything at this time, and we felt, or the community felt, it wasn't appropriate what they've been asking or giving us besides jobs. So that's what we did this past month. Oh, and I don't know if you guys seen it, but we've been Zoom bombed on our meeting that night, and we had to quickly give a new link. And the funny part about it was the New York Post actually picked up that story instead of the casino resolution. So go figure. That's my report.
Figure what? It was the Post.
Shh.
Anyone else? Suan?
We were approached by the Brooklyn DA's office to host a seminar for older adults. They used to be known as seniors, but now they're not known as that anymore. They're known as older adults. And we're going to be doing that in conjunction with Millennium Development Corporation. We're hosting about 200 seniors that day, and it'll be about elder abuse, senior scams, etc. The DA will be there himself to address them, plus his team, and that's for Older Americans Month. The other thing I wanted to ask, was there anybody on here from DEP?
I didn't see Denise today, no.
Okay, so I requested that they come here for a town hall meeting. I don't know how many of you saw Bergen Beach on the news. They were badly flooded, quite a number of blocks here. On the avenues, on the side streets, and going all the way south. So we had a lot of damage here, and unfortunately, many of these people, probably all of these people, cannot claim it on their insurances because it's a sewer issue. So DEP was here for a short time that evening. I asked for a town hall meeting from them when this happened. They're supposed to get back to me. I'm still waiting. And we asked for the meeting to be tomorrow night. So I don't see that happening. Again, Carol Ann, I'm going to tell you again, like I told you last time, I don't see the respect for the community boards from the agencies, the respect that we should be getting, because we are here to help all of the stakeholders, residents, community people with whatever issues and concerns they have. And in order to do that, we need the agencies to help us. So again, I don't see that happening most of the time. And I don't know if anybody else has had that problem, but I don't see the respect that we should be getting. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And again, I didn't see anybody from DEP here, but it's unfortunate.
Please feel free to send me an email if you can today, and
Okay.
we'll try to reach somebody at DEP.
Okay, thank you.
You see Sean's comment in the chat. Josephine and then Cherise.
Carolyn, I just wanted to share with everyone that Community Board 10 is going to be hosting an It's My Park Day community cleanup, partnering with one of our local groups, the Bay Ridge Environmental Group. But we've also been marketing and doing some outreach as an opportunity to encourage young people in the district to come learn about community boards. And, you know, I'm happy to report we have over 100 RSVPs from young people in the district. So we're very excited. We think it's going to be a good event. We haven't had an outdoor event of this type in a number of years. So we are excited. And I just want to share it's going to be Saturday, May 20th at 10 a.m. And I'll be sharing that with everyone today in case anyone wants to come out and join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Cherise and then Taya.
Hi, Carolyn, is this the time for the agency updates or are we still just working through the district managers? Is this for everybody?
We're going, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so hi, everyone. And you've heard Sue Ann just mention sort of muted, but it's National Older Americans Month. And we are celebrating the theme Aging Unbound. We are definitely exploring the diverse aging experiences and we're also trying to get people to understand how to combat stereotypes about ageism and aging. So I just want to let everyone know this is that month that we celebrate older adults. And I'd like Sue Ann, please, to send me that flyer for the event that you're hosting. There was an op-ed in the Daily News a couple of Sundays ago that was co-authored by the mayor and our commissioner regarding the Cabinet for Older New Yorkers, which is the first of its kind in the nation. And it is, you know, it's a coalescing of 20 city government agencies that address issues that affect the aging population. So, you know, we're proud of this Cabinet for Older New Yorkers and look forward to them doing tremendous work on behalf of those who are 60 plus in New York, which is roughly 1.64 million. So it's a pretty big population and that continues to grow.
Thank you,
Any
Cherise.
questions? Thank you.
Venus, followed by Afia.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Venus Canterbury, and I'm the Brooklyn Outreach Coordinator for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. We are an independent agency that investigates, mediates, and sometimes administratively prosecutes police misconduct of the members of the NYPD. I have a brief announcement. Tomorrow, we are having our Brooklyn Borough Board meeting for the CCRB. This is a police accountability discussion. All community partners, community boards, stakeholders are welcome to join. You guys will be hearing agency updates about what's going on so far with the CCRB, and there will be a public comment session for those to make comments and updates on what's going on, as well as engage with the board on what you would like to see happen when it comes to holding police more accountable. So I will share that information with you all. It's at 6:30 p.m. at Restoration Plaza. That's in the Bed-Stuy region, 1368 Fulton Street. So we really want folks from Bed-Stuy especially to come out to this discussion, but everyone is welcome to partake. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye. And I'll leave my information and the registration link in the chat.
Thank you, Venus. Afia, and followed by Frank. Afia? Okay, Frank?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's just one quick update. In May 1st, Department of Building launched a community inspector pilot program. So it's a pilot program. Hi, do you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Something was wrong with my mic. I'll go after you. My apologies.
So So May 1st, the DOB launched the Community Inspector Pilot Program. That pilot program is going to last for 6 months. So we've identified over the past, say 5 years or so, about roughly about 8,000 complaints that we fielded. So we have 700 active permits that we're piloting right now in CB 7 and 10. So we have 2 teams of inspectors and community engagement staff that are going out to all the sites that have active permits. And what we're doing, instead of issuing violations, we're sort of more of taking a community engagement approach where we're talking to the site safety managers, identifying issues, and hopefully they fix those issues. So when we do return for a second round inspection in the next 6 months, those issues will be fixed. So we're hoping this program is successful, and then we'll expand. We can look to expand it to the other community boards in the future. So just wanted to share a quick update about that. And then secondly, we have our buildings after hours every Tuesday night from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 345 Adams Street. And every third Tuesday of the month, we have somebody from a small business team who's here as well. So if you have any business owners that have questions about their permitting process, want to start a project, we have somebody from the business team here that can assist with them. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Frank, I didn't get the top half of that. The special project is focused on specific permits and where?
Right. So right now we're focusing just in community boards 7 and 10. We've identified 700 active permits in those 2 community boards. And the inspectors are going out there with the idea of we're identifying issues and then not issuing a violation unless we find something that's immediately hazardous condition. Then we call it into the borough for an inspection, but we're trying to identify issues and having them repair those issues while we're on site, or giving them some kind of time frame to repair those issues without actually giving a violation. So we're taking more of that community engagement approach to a lot of these sites.
Sorry to make you repeat that. I just wanted to be clear. Sounds great. Look forward to hearing how it goes. And also just to say in front of everybody else how much I appreciate you. You're awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, is it okay if I go now? Hello?
We can hear you, Afia.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I have 2 updates. The federal public health emergency funding for COVID-19 ends this Thursday, May 11th. So what that means is that you're going to start seeing a decrease in funding going towards media testing and vaccination sites. We will be releasing a press release on our website, so you can look forward to that with more information regarding this topic. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me so I can get the information that you need. Lastly, the end of Title 42, which was put in place for re-immigration through southern border. There's going to be an end to that, and we're already seeing an increase in asylees coming to New York. This is expected to increase after May 11th, when more people will qualify for asylum. Also, you'll start to see an increase in services in New York City regards to our shelter, and possibly more volunteer opportunities will open up for anyone who's interested in assisting on this project.
Thank you.
That's all the updates I have. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other updates? Andre.
Good morning, all. Just one small update, and I'll definitely put my email in the chat, which I'm actually doing at the moment. But I just want to promote one thing that we do have going on here at DVS coming up later this year. It's called the Walls That Heal. It's an event that we have coming up in September of this year, and we're just promoting out early because it's an event that's going from September 28th to October 1st. It's going to be in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, and it's going to be there for that entire time frame. And what this is basically a replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington D.C., but it's a mobile, a replica, and it travels. So it'd be a wonderful thing for all to see. We are taking on or asking any volunteers who would like to help be there to participate, to help set up the exhibit, support the things that's going on. I definitely have a flyer. Like I said, I'll try to send this out to all of you on the call so that everyone is aware of it. as far as the update, that's all I have for that. The only other request I do have, which is actual request, is I'm trying to basically connect with all the community boards, all the entities that play a part in this role. I'm just trying to obtain all information about any meetings that are going on each week, actually. Dealing with veterans, we deal with a lot of different variations of things, and some of the things that you guys spoke on so far earlier already, as far as just, different communities and different things that are going on. Department of Veteran Services, we receive so many different random inquiries and questions about some of these things that we don't necessarily have the answers to. So to be able to connect with other partners, agencies, community boards, to be able to find these answers, or to at least direct these veterans to you guys so that they can get a proper answer that we may not be able to have, would be so helpful. So I do ask that if you have, just normal meetings going on weekly, please let me know. You can just shoot me an email. Let me know about the email, about that meeting particularly, especially if it's veteran related. Definitely want to be a part of it, so that we know what's going on, see how we can be a part of that, see if we can help, and just be a connective source to everyone. I know we're still in a place where not a lot of people know that New York City has its own veteran agency, which is not a good thing. We're already 7 years in from inception, so to still not be known that we're an official city agency that's here to help out and provide services for the veterans within the 5 boroughs is still a problem that we're still tackling. But that can be helped out with with the help of everyone on this call, all the agencies, partners, and so forth. The more that you know about us, the more that you can spread the word and provide those that informational stuff that we can provide to you guys, to these veterans out here in our communities. But yeah, that's it for me. I don't have anything else.
Okay. What I can do for you, Andre, is send you the list of community boards with the DM's contact information.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely will appreciate that. Like I said, I'm just trying to stay connected to all the partners that I can connect with. Just anything that we can help and just be a part of to help veterans in any way. Connect the source to you guys, any partners. Please let me know. And I already put my email in the chat for everyone to send me whatever informational stuff that they may have, especially with events as far as veteran events. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. I see, Melinda, are you sure that question was directed to Afia or to Yuri?
It's actually a Yuri question, but Afia mentioned the sites, so I'll redirect to Yuri if she's on.
She was on earlier. I don't know if she's still on.
I'll reach out to both of them. Afia, I'll reach out if you have any direction on it. That would be greatly appreciated as well. Thank you.
Okay, it's your question is in regards to the asylum sites. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, please send that in an email and I'll follow up with for you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Comments?
Not a question, but a comment to Andre. Andre, I do want you to know that I did listen to the testimony yesterday at the budget hearing, and I was extremely impressed with what Veteran Services is doing. So I just wanted to say that. So feel encouraged.
I greatly appreciate it.
You're so welcome. It's my issue area here at the department, one of my issue areas. So I tuned in. I am going to replay it, but it was excellent.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's just great to hear. Sadly, we don't hear that too often, so definitely appreciate it. And you have my contact info, so you could definitely reach out to me anytime you need to, all right?
Sure.
Okay. And as we're wrapping up, Frank, I see your hand is up. Are you still? Is that from previous?
Oh no, sorry, that's from earlier.
Okay. And Sean has a question in the chat. Regarding if anyone had issues with their appointment rosters.
Caroline, if there is a general update for board member appointments, I wanted to raise it. But if we're the only board that has outstanding questions, then we can take it off the offline.
You're the only one, actually. We'll be able to follow up with you tomorrow. By then, we'll have it all resolved. And with that, at 11:45, We're about 15 minutes over, but I think we can say that it was a productive meeting. We thank Teresa and the Assistant Commissioner for their time. Thank all of you for your time, for coming on and for contributing to the Brooklyn Borough Board meeting for May 9th, 2023. I'll see you all in June. And I think I have a couple of things to follow up on. So you'll be hearing from me. Have a great day.
Carolyn.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Anastasia, CEO. I believe Ray Carrera, Director of Quality of Life from CEO, was supposed to give like a short presentation on neighborhood support team program.
Oh, my apologies. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Ray?
He jumped off. Yeah. Oh no. Oh,
He's here, but he's frozen.
He's frozen.
Oh no.
Now he's off, is he?
I still see him.
You can see him still.
Oh, okay. Ray,
There you
Can you hear me?
Now, yes, you're back.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to remind everyone that the submission for an RFEI for the neighbor support team is coming up on May 31st. And the program is basically going to be addressing your issues, the issues that the community boards, civics, bids, nonprofits have identified as needing to attention. We're going to be using broken window theory, working with the community boards and the civics community groups to do agency, community-driven projects to address all of your needs. Please submit them with everything from drug dealing to zombie homes to whatever you think are issues in your community that you need addressed. Again, there aren't going to be one-offs. If you're looking at graffiti, we're looking at all of the graffiti in the community board. If you're looking at abandoned homes being used by drug dealers and the like, we'll be looking at all of those. If you're looking at illegal dumping, homeless encampments, city lots, vacant lots being used for purposes other than intended, is up to your discretion to decide what are the issues that you want us to come in with a neighbor support team to address. Again, it cannot be a project smaller than 3 blocks and do not exceed the boundaries of a community board. We are looking at 3 per borough. That's the minimum. Also, any community board can submit, any bid can submit, any CBO can submit, nonprofits can submit. The application process is easy. You go to the CAU website, you look at support team. The program is explained there. There's a link to the application. The application is very simple. All you have to do is go in there, put your information in, kind of like a laundry list of the things that you would like addressed, submit it. I'm encouraging everyone to look at the page, think about what you want to bring in as far as us coming in with a multifaceted agency community approach to address your issues. That's as quick as I can with the short time.
Thank you, Ray.
Oh,
We all heard you.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Yeah, CB13 will be applying for it for Coney Island with illegal vendors and for Brighton Beach bids. So we're going to put our hat in.
Ray, if there's anything you can send to me so I can reach out to the boards with it as well, I'd be happy to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just want to say hello to Sherman, a former colleague here at Borough Hall. How are you?
He actually stepped out to another call
Yeah,
right
no, I
now.
had stepped
Oh, no,
away for a
you,
minute,
you're
but
not.
yes, I'm fine. Thank you. I feel like I've rejoined my original family.
Nice to see you. Nice
Good
to
to
see
see
you.
you.
Okay, is there anyone else who needs to speak? Okay. Again, thank you all so much for your time. And we'll see you next month. I think June 13th at 10 a.m. Hopefully still via WebEx.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day.